Today, we have a list of 8 erotic sci-fi films that truly change the definition of the sci-fi genre. Now, these films are a set of presentations that brought the usual scientists, aliens and technology to the table, but also showed human desires, obsession, and loneliness. You can literally say they come as an entire package. It's exactly why it's so fascinating. Some of the stories are so strange that it'll make you uncomfortable in your seat. So, let's take a deep dive into these films without waiting any longer. The Untamed, 2016. So, the film revolves around a woman named Alejandra, who married a closeted homosexual guy named Angel. He was someone who publicly mocked gays, but secretly had an affair with Alejandro's brother Fabian. Because of this, Alejandra ended up being unhappy and sexually frustrated in her marriage. That's when a new woman called Veronica arrived at their small city. Veronica first met Fabian in the hospital, where he treated her wounds from the creature. Veronica took Fabian to a remote cabin located in the woods, where the tentacle creature from space used to live, and later introduced Alejandra to the same creature. The creature gave intense pleasure to anyone who came close to it, but the creature could also turn violent, as it did with Veronica. But the creature did nothing to Alejandra, and when she experienced the pleasure, she wasn't satisfied by anyone else. At the same time, Angel was imprisoned for allegedly assaulting Fabian, because he sent Fabian some threatening texts when he tried to end their affair. But in reality, it was the creature that brutally attacked Fabian after Veronica took him to the cabin. Fabian survived the attack, but was left critically injured, while Angel became the prime suspect because of the threatening messages he'd sent. After Fabian was found and hospitalized, she didn't utter a word. She let Angel take all the blame, and even took Alejandra to the creature. After Angel got out of jail, he begged Alejandra to take him back, but when she denied, he tried to shoot her, but shot his leg instead. In the end, it was shown that Alejandra carried his body to the creature, which took him as its prey. Veronica died because she took her sexual obsession way too far. Director Amat Escalante shot the scenes with the creature in such a way that it always gave the creeps. He primarily relied on practical creature effects, supplemented with digital effects wherever needed, because he wanted the audience to feel the creature's physical presence. The film actually used the alien as a mirror for repression, particularly around queerness and female desire, which get judged in a rigid and patriarchal environment. Many viewers find it sad that perhaps none of this would have happened if people were allowed to love and feel as they desired, which I really agree with. Species, 1995. This film centers around a hybrid named Syl, who was created by scientists after they intercepted an alien transmission that contained the instructions for splicing human and extraterrestrial DNA together. The scientists hoped it would be a breakthrough in genetics by testing the alien DNA instructions they'd received. However, Syl grew unnaturally fast. In the span of 3 months, she became a 12-year-old and escaped government containment, which was basically the start of all the chaos. Syl searched for a mate after getting out and even killed several in the process. An entire team of specialists was after her to stop her before she could reproduce and potentially endanger humanity, but she gave them a very hard time. Eventually, after creating a lot of chaos, she mated and gave birth to a monstrous offspring. However, the team killed both of them and saved humanity. Or that's what they thought, because the film closed with a rat feeding on Syl's discarded tissue and started mutating, then killing another rat. It meant that the alien threat was still not over. The alien costume that Syl wore in the film was designed by H.R. Giger. He used his signature biomechanical style to elevate that unsettling look Syl had. However, several of Giger's original designs were altered during production, and he later expressed dissatisfaction with some of those changes. The production combined animatronics, prosthetics, and computer-generated effects to bring Syl's transformation sequences to life. Also, Natasha Henstridge did so well in this role, as this was one of her first major acting roles. Many viewers appreciated how the film made them feel both terror and empathy for Syl. Even I felt that Syl's desperation to survive and connect made her oddly more compelling than the humans who hunted her down, because it wasn't like that she wanted to exist. She was brought into existence solely because of human experiments. Invasion of the Bee Girls, 1973. The moment this film begins, well, you start wondering what is exactly happening here. The premise shows several men dying mysterious deaths because of heart failure that was caused by extreme sexual exhaustion. The investigating agents were stressed with the increase in the death toll, so as they dug deeper, they found clear evidence that a local scientist, Dr. Sean Harris, had developed a laboratory procedure that transformed ordinary women into human bee hybrids. These women overpowered and drained the life out of any man they mated with. Then Neil Agar, the investigator responsible for the case, broke into Harris's lab right on time to save Julie from getting transformed into a hybrid bee. To prevent it from happening, he shot the main control and destroyed it, which caused a huge explosion that ultimately killed Dr. Harris and her other mutated girls. If you think deeper, you'll realize that the film used this premise as an exaggerated metaphor to explore social anxieties surrounding female sexuality, women's independence, and the fear of a future in which women no longer need men in a way that traditional society expected. The film was definitely way ahead of its time. Even though it was a part of the low-budget genre films of the 70s, it explored the real anxieties of that era, like feminism, changes in gender roles, and also shifts in sexual norms. I'll be honest, the execution of the film was a little campy, but it still became a cult classic. One thing that every fan loved about the film was how it displayed men who felt threatened by female authority. That social bite and the stillness of the film balance out so well, which is why the fans still love it today. Barbarella, 1968. This film took inspiration from the popular French adult sci-fi comic book series Barbarella, which was created by Jean-Claude Forest in 1962. Barbarella was a space traveler who was sent on a mission by the Earth's president to stop a scientist named Durand in the Tau Ceti planetary system. He invented a weapon, the positronic ray, that could cause catastrophic destruction across the universe. Throughout her journey, Barbarella came across several life-threatening surreal experiences. First, she crashed on an icy planet called Lithion, where she encountered some bizarre murderous children with razor-toothed dolls. But thankfully, she was saved by a local hunter named Mark Hand. Hand told her where Durand was in the city of Sogo, and also gave her a ride in his ice boat. When Barbarella tried to return his favor, he declined and said he wanted to sleep with her. Barbarella was confused because back on Earth they took pills to experience pleasure. After all, otherwise it was considered distracting. But later she gave in and realized why back on Earth they find it distracting. After that, she continued her journey and met Pygar, a handsome blind angel who had lost his will and ability to fly. She restored his spirit, and they traveled to the wicked city of Sogo, but got captured there and faced immense torture. The city was ruled by the Black Queen, and was built upon Mathmos, which was a lake of living liquid energy. Barbarella was tortured by a machine that was designed to kill her through excessive pleasure by Durand, who was also plotting to take over Sogo by removing the Black Queen. But Barbarella's overwhelming sexual vitality saved her life by causing a short circuit in the machine and burning it. At that time, Dildano and his rebels also attacked the city. The Black Queen retaliated by releasing the Mathmos to destroy Sogo. The Mathmos felt Barbarella's innocence and formed a protective bubble around her and the Black Queen. They were found by Pygar, who flew them away from the collapsing city. Since this film was made in the pre-digital era, every alien landscape, the spaceship interior, and the strange creatures were physically built and lit on an elaborate practical set. Jane Fonda's performance and her fashion choices in the film literally became a cultural phenomenon of the late 60s and 70s. It became another cult classic for fusing space adventure with erotica. There's a saying, old is gold, and this film falls into that category. Shivers, 1975. This film was a breakthrough in David Cronenberg's career, and it remains one of the foundational works in the category of body horror. The story began at a high-rise apartment complex where a mad scientist named Dr. Emil Hobbs experimented with aphrodisiacs and parasites to end the emotional intellectual repression among humans. But the experiment went horribly wrong. After realizing that his mistress Annabelle had begun spreading the parasite, Hobbs killed her before taking his own life. By then, however, the parasite had already begun spreading among the other residents. Every infected person became extremely violent and sexually compulsive. They even forced disgusting slug-like organisms down the uninfected individual's throat. There was another resident doctor, Roger St. Luke, who tried to find a cure, but he failed and got infected by his colleague and romantic interest, Nurse Forsyth. Lastly, the film showed the complex was already infiltrated with the infection. Now, the infected individuals were going out to transmit the infection to the city of Montreal. Cronenberg worked on this concept in his later projects too, but this film was shot on a tight budget in Montreal, in a large confined apartment complex. It seriously felt like a zombie apocalypse film, but instead of eating anyone's flesh, well, they were forcing down parasites in each other's throats. I feel like getting stuck in an apartment like this is worse than being dead. You know, this film sparked quite a controversy in the Canadian Parliament. When the audience watched the film, well, they felt that the body horror in the film was way too extreme. It caused a serious debate about whether taxpayer funds should even support such a kind of a film. I think today that this film is even more appreciated among the film community for how well it showed the extremities of body horror. Planet Terror, 2007. This film was Robert Rodriguez's contribution to the double feature project Grindhouse, which he created alongside Quentin Tarantino's companion film Death Proof. The film was set in rural Texas, where a chemical engineer named Abby was taken hostage by deranged Lieutenant Muldoon and his men, and they forced him to release a deadly biochemical agent called DC-2 into the environment. This gas transformed the locals living there into extremely aggressive zombies. Earlier at this event, go-go dancer Cherry Darling quit her job for a change and met her ex-boyfriend El Rey in a restaurant. As they were driving along the highway, the zombies started attacking from nowhere, which caused their car to crash. Cherry lost her right leg to the zombies, but she was immune, so she didn't catch the infection. The patients were treated by Dr. William Block and his anesthesiologist wife, whom he abused. Dakota and Cherry got detained by the soldiers, but El Rey and Abby arrived to rescue them. After surviving the zombie attacks and military confinement, well, a group of survivors fought their way out, with Cherry leading them. Her lost leg was replaced with a fully functioning machine gun. They tried to get away in a helicopter, but Abby died because of a ballistic missile. The remaining survivors eventually reached a safe refuge near Tulum, where Cherry later led a new community after El Rey sacrificed himself during their escape. The amount of gore in this film was unimaginable. They put a lot of effort into recreating the look of a damaged old film print. The scratches, warped frames, missing reels and jumping film stock were deliberately added during post-production, and the audiences loved that effect in the film, even though the Grindhouse theatrical release initially underperformed at the box office. It's a movie that you just have to enjoy with your brains off. Don't think about it, just enjoy the experience because it's pure entertainment. Life Force, 1985. The film began with a joint British-American space mission which investigated Halley's Comet. The space shuttle, Churchill, was commanded by American astronaut Tom Carlson. During the investigation, they discovered a massive derelict alien vessel which had 3 naked humanoids, 2 male and 1 female, preserved there in glass containers. A rescue mission found the Churchill with its crew dead, while Commander Carlson had escaped separately in a space pod. The alien bodies were then brought back to Earth for study. The figures were brought for study, but little did they know it had become their biggest mistake because they were space vampires. Well, the female alien escaped and drained the life force out of people. She could also transfer between human hosts at her will and manipulate them. The victims that she left also turned into zombie-like vampires who drained other humans to survive. Nobody expected a scientific curiosity to turn into a full-blown apocalypse across London. The biggest twist was that Colonel Carlson was a host himself, and he had a psychic connection with the female alien. In space, he got mentally seduced by her, and she exerted a dreamlike sexual and psychic dominance over him. In the final confrontation, Carlson impaled both himself and the female alien with a lead iron weapon, sending their combined life force back toward the alien spacecraft. It was based on the novel The Space Vampires, and Tobe Hooper directed this film immediately after his success with Poltergeist. Well, it was given an unusually large budget for the genre at that time, but the budget helped them afford all the practical effects they showed, including the detailed miniature work and the matte paintings they used to illustrate the destruction of a city. The film received mixed reviews and underperformed at the US box office, before later developing a cult following. The Man Who Fell to Earth, 1976. David Bowie starred in the film as the main antagonist, Thomas Jerome Newton. He was an alien from outer space who arrived on Earth with a mission to gather water and resources. He was desperate to save his dying home planet and the family he left behind. So, he used advanced alien technology to build a vast business empire on Earth so that he could fund his plan. But along the way, he got consumed by various human vices, wealth, alcohol, and he even had an affair with a hotel employee named Mary Lou. Although his growing addictions and attachment to Earth distracted him, he continued working toward his mission until his capture prevented him from completing it. Later, the US government found out about his actual identity and detained him in a secret facility. There, he was subjected to several medical and optical experiments for which he lost his true alien eyesight. Because of it, he was completely trapped in his human form. Many years later, he eventually found himself free from confinement, but by then, he'd lost his life spirit to even return back to this planet. So, he recorded a music album with hidden messages in it, hoping that when it gets broadcast in the radio, it would reach his real home. Moreover, he appeared not to age, so he'd have to remain on Earth without ever being able to return home. I find this film very different from most alien-themed films. They showed a different side and used aliens as a metaphor for alienation, addiction, and the loss of self-identity. When they were shooting this film, Bowie was apparently going through his own personal struggles. You can really see it in his performance as well. Throughout the film, director Nicholas Roeg used a fragmented, non-linear editing style to capture the raw emotions of Newton's growing disorientation and detachment from both his mission and his own sense of self. And the most interesting part is that Bowie was actually cast in that role because, well, back then people thought his public persona felt really otherworldly. I think this role was really made for him. Even the viewers felt that for a sci-fi film that it touched the emotional aspects so well that it stayed along for a long time after watching it. And with that, we come to the end of today's video. Let us know in the comments below which is your favourite film in this list. And before you leave, don't forget to press the like and subscribe button.